Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and today we're taking a look at Dark Souls 2. And joining me, as always, is...
Hello, everybody.
And
It's me, the medic.
And you're not muted. I can see the little green thing. The green thing. Alright, so, well, happy birthday, Cyrus, and Cheesecake. Great minds think alike. And Amazon making a Wolfenstein TV show. No! They're gonna they're gonna reboot the Avengers. No! I didn't really care that much to begin with, but still, no! It's gonna be terrible. That fall TV show was trash. Hello, John Doe. Captain America and Iron Man are gonna get recasted. Yeah, that makes sense.
Aren't we on the 63rd reboot of the Fantastic Four?
This is, I think, the third one? Apparently it wasn't god-awful, though, so I don't know. I don't know, I mean...
You've seen
it Fantastic Four never interested me that much, though.
murky, forgotten land.
Can we give a special shout-out to the Hulkster?
Oh yeah, a lot of people died. We're gonna skip past this cutscene here because it's very loud, and all it is you falling into a hole to go like to Dran Lake to learn about how to become human again. So you gotta like kill a king, and then it's all lore here, people. But yeah, the Hulkster has died. Ozzy Osbourne has died, and Chuck Mangione. Now who's gonna shill Megalomart?
I know, it does not feel so good.
Yeah, but like all the legends are dying. I don't like it. I do not like it.
Me either.
It's kind of ironic we're talking about dead people in a game where you play as an undead, but whatever. I totally played it that way. And
do you mind if I answer John's question real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm going to say it quickly. So a long time ago, at work, a woman came to our fire station looking to take pictures for a fireman calendar. Me and my friend agreed. It's like 2005, 2006. So we're topless holding axes getting photographed when my chief walks in and says, "Dude, are you porn stars or are you firemen?" And I said, "Neither. I am a XXX medic." And thus, a name was born.
Yes, just like that one. Look at the name when it finally shows up.
Porn Star Fire.
That sounds like a band.
Dude, we should start a band called Porn Star Fire.
Yeah, but I can't play any instruments or sing, so I'm kind of screwed. I'll just be the technical manager.
Well, neither can anyone else on SoundCloud, but look what they're doing.
That's true.
All we need is an AI, and we're in.
And Cyrus, Hollywood Hulk Hogan, the classic wrestler from the 1980s. Now, I didn't really get into wrestling, but one of my first Halloween costumes was of Hulk Hogan. So, he was big back when I was a kid.
I wasn't into wrestling either, but damn if I didn't love the Hulk Hogan and his movies that he was in the 90s.
Oh man, they were so bad. But I remember liking the Suburban Commando one.
I was frozen today.
Yeah.
Yes, that movie was great.
It's one of those movies where, like, once you make it to the modern era, it's like, what movie was that? Where, like, Hulk Hogan was, like, a space adventurer? It's one of those that, like, it's very easy for people to kind of forget, but, like, it's legendary enough it's still stuck in your brain.
I like how he made a cheeky little reference to the Aliens franchise by saying, like, what, no aliens with acid for blood?
Not gonna get that for a long time. Let's see, we can have eyebrows. Have the most stupid looking eyebrows imaginable.
Are you making a social justice warrior?
No, he's not nearly as fat. I mean, yeah, not nearly as fat.
Because I see that blue hair is an option.
Yeah, I'm not going that far.
Good man.
I'm making him a hipster bro. There we go. He's also into motocross. We're making a motocross guy. There we go. That's the absolute right amount of dick right here.
Yes. He needs a tribal tattoo to complete the look.
Yep, got it on there already.
Oh, perfect. There's a bit of lag. I apologize.
Alright, so that's our true self. Our true self is a motocross asshole.
Same reason to break the curse. You're no different.
Getting Windows 10 working under Linux. I mean, that's not a bad idea. I mean, for me personally, I'm too lazy to do that. You can turn off Windows Copilot by just going into the group edit settings. It's pretty easy, actually. I used AI to turn off an AI. I felt pretty good about that. Yeah, so a lot of things are being in-shittened. You know, we lost a lot of major awesome legends, but we also have where the UK is completely cut off from the internet unless you, like, show your ID for everything.
Yeah, that's a little V for Vendetta, don't you think?
Yeah. And payment processors are taking off games that are not just prawn related. See, this is one of those things that, when we talk about, like, you know, like wanting to ban stuff, people don't really think about, like, the knock-on effects of that. So it's like people want to ban the prawns because apparently people are, you know, fapping too much to that. You know, they're gooning, as the cool kids might say, too much. And so, like, I get it to a point. But at the same time, what happens when you ban it? What's next is the question, you know?
Oh, dear.
It's like, it's not going to stop at the thing you don't like. Although, to be perfectly honest, this whole, like, anti-prawn stance has always kind of bothered me. It's like, wait a minute, you don't like big titties? I get that the whole, like, industry is pretty exploitative, but at the same time, you know, every industry is exploitative to a point. You know? The idea that you can't, you know, engage in certain activities, just, that bothers me to a major degree. It's like, it's not really anybody's... I'm not of the belief that the government should control what you do and what you and how you are. It shouldn't do that. Just because you don't like the prawn doesn't mean you can ban it. You know, it's like there are age restrictions and such. And I remember back when I was a little general, you know, part of growing up was like trying to get one over on your parents so you could find the big titties. You know, it's like that was a thing you did. That was part of, like, growing up. It was part of the maturity process, you know?
Before the internet.
Yeah,
the
you know,
struggle
like,
was real.
Like, you know, you get a bootleg tape or something, or you, like, pause it on the titty scene in RoboCop, you know? It's like, it was a thing you did. Now it's like, you can't look at that. You just have to go to work and die, I guess. It's like, it sounds like a very sad existence.
Yeah, how many times I paused RoboCop and then adjusted the tracking to get a nipple in frame?
Yep.
Don't forget the tracking.
A virtual hard disk. Not bad. Not bad. That is some good techno sorcery. But yeah, you know, I'm not one of those people that, like, I am based, but I'm not so based it's like, just go to work, you know? Work and die, or have kids at, like, age 18. Can you imagine? That's something that a lot of these busybodies are trying to say. It's like, can you imagine having a kid at age 18?
Well, you know, from the dawn of time till, say, like, the turn of the century, having kids at 14, 15 was the thing.
Yeah, but thankfully we don't have to live that way anymore. You know, we don't have to, like, shit in a bucket and throw it out the window either.
Agreed. I'm just saying. People act like this is so extreme, but I'm like, nah. At 18, you were considered late if you didn't have kids.
Well, yeah, and at the same time, you know, I think people are too, like, kind of modern. They're thinking too, like, modern day. Like, people back in, like, you know, 1802 or even 502, 90210. They weren't thinking about, like, we must have kids to perpetuate the race. They weren't doing that. They were just, well, fucking, and, well, that's what resulted. They didn't... Let me put it this way. When people had access to contraceptives, what did they start doing? And if you asked, you know, like, a fine gentleman from 1862, and they said, like, oh, yeah, you can put this thing on your, unit, and you won't knock somebody up. They would use that in a heartbeat, and you know it.
Sure. Of course, the life expectancy was age 40 back then.
Yeah. But these people weren't, like, planning this stuff. They weren't like, I must perpetuate my society. They were trying not to die. They were trying not to freeze to death during winter. So,
You had to have as many kids as possible because, like, 3 of them were going to die.
yeah, I don't even think they were really thinking that far ahead either, you know? That's my thought, is like, do you really think Bubba Stump on the farm was like, we must have 10 kids by Christmas, otherwise we're screwed, you know? I don't think he was doing that. I think in reality, they just were, you know, doing the old in, out, and that's what resulted. Because, can you imagine, like, Bubba Stump, it's like, do you know your current, do you know the current, birth statistics? He's not gonna know, and he's not gonna care. And yes, rip Hollywood Hogan. He was the great. I was actually
What
still...
you gonna do, brother?
The Hulkster brother. Man, I
When
made the
loud on you.
Yeah, pretty much all
Look
the
at
great...
coming up with the condom facts.
Your great uncle died this week. Oh, that's sad. The last week was dangerous, you know? And yeah, I guess they did have condoms back then, but it wasn't really available. I think one of the things people forget is that, like, only, like, the rich could have that. And hello, Riley. I haven't even really talked about Dark Souls 2 here. Like, Dark Souls 2 was kind of a big deal for me back in the old days. This came out the very year that I ended up having a divorce, believe it or not. So this game always has kind of a negative connotation. But that didn't stop me from putting over 100 hours into this bloody game, and I don't even like it!
What year was this?
2014. Over 11 years ago. The end.
I'm not bashing the game. I'm just simply saying, why does it look like a 360 PS3 game for 2014?
Well, it actually did come out on the 360 and PS3.
Well, that would answer that.
But this is, of course, the PC version, and Dark Souls 2 is open world, as is the first one. Kind of. Like, you can walk wherever you want without a loading screen, so if you consider that open world, then it is. If you don't, then I guess it's not. But I played this game a lot. I'm actually going to uninstall it as soon as I'm done streaming, but I played this game a lot in 2014 and beyond, because I was deep into Dark Souls 1, because it was this cool new thing, you know? But really, I don't like Dark Souls. I finally realized that when I was playing Elden Ring. I just don't... It just isn't that fun. It's overly difficult for what it is.
Well, why don't you just carry a torch or a flashlight, then it won't be dark?
You know, you say that, but in this game they introduced a torch mechanic where you need to light up areas so you can actually target enemies. So you're not as far off as you might think.
Can we call in AC-130s?
No, you can't do that. That doesn't exist yet.
How about Predator drone?
No. That's DLC. But, you know, with Elden Ring, I was like, I'm done. I'm just done with the whole franchise. Because I just realized I wasn't having fun. But I have nostalgia for this game, I guess you could say. Because this was like the first game in the new era. Why did I put so many hours into that? Because I thought I liked it. You ever have a game where you think you like, but you don't really?
Yes. Resident Evil 5.
I like that game unironically, though. Although, that's a game that has a happy connotation, because it was the first co-op game I played with a new female. And it was actually pretty fun. I'm sure...
Fair, it did grow on me later in life. I hated it when it was new.
I can imagine, because it's as far from the original Resident Evil as you can get. I know that. Same way with Resident Evil 4 as well. Damn it. First death.
I'm punching a boulder in a volcano.
You say that like that's a bad thing. I mean, what else you do in a volcano? You know? I mean, I punch boulders all the time. Not really.
I always wanted somebody on YouTube to animate what would really happen if they crash landed in a volcano, and it would just immediately be them bursting into flames and dying.
Yeah, but see, for me, I don't really care that much about complete realism, because if it was completely realistic, you know, Chris Redfield wouldn't look like that, he wouldn't act like that, and you wouldn't have a game. I
can suspend disbelief. I know.
I like ridiculous stuff because it's fun, you know? Because real life is boring. Let's just be reasonable. You know, like, realistically, Chris by that point would be too old to go in that volcano, or go anywhere for that matter. He'd be like sitting at a desk, you know? That's what he would be doing. You know,
I joke about Resident Evil 5, but I mean, it is infinitely better than 6 was.
See, that's another one of those what I like to call a girl game, because I did that with a attractive female, so it's like, but yeah, that game is terrible. It is god awful. I hate that game.
If you look at the cover of Resident Evil 6, you will see a man fellatiating a giraffe, and you will never not see it afterward.
I didn't see that, but like, you have no ammunition, and like the zombies are annoying to fight, and I just hated Resident Evil 6 like a lot. So what we're trying to do right now is I'm trying to get a ring, so I don't, when I die, I don't lose 50% of my health over time. And it's kind of annoying to get to that ring, because you gotta like kite all of these guys, because I can't fight them at all yet. And yeah, Dark Souls is apocalyptic fantasy, but Resident Evil 6 I have no interest in ever playing. I have zero interest in playing that again. It's like, I did my time.
My biggest gripe with 6, honest to God, every Resident Evil prior had scaling damage. If you leveled your weapons, you could save your best guns and breeze through the tough enemies. But 6 decided everyone's going to be a bullet sponge, and battles are going to be time-based rather than damage dealt. And that's bullshit.
This is true. I never was that deep into the franchise.
Even kill the bosses. They die in cutscenes.
Yep. One of the weirdest bosses, though, is the fact... is the T-Rex, the zombie T-Rex boss is one of the weirder ones, though. It's like, that guy's transforming into a T-Rex. Like, why would you design a virus to do that?
He also transforms into a big-ass housefly at the end.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I played that like 6 years ago. And yeah, it did have the best-looking Wesker. I mean, like, that's the thing. Like, Resident Evil 5 really is kind of like God compared to Resi 6, because at least Resident Evil 5 is fun. And Sheva is pretty attractive, I think. She's all right.
And it gave us that wonderful total global saturation.
Yes. Do you remember the stupid social media?
Come again?
Do you remember that stupid social media thing that happened when it came out, though?
Are we talking about the racisms?
Yep. It's like, you have the straight white male shooting at the African zombies. It's like, oh my god, they're zombies. Shut the fuck up, people. And that was in 2006.
The actress that played Sheva actually really had a great take on that. And she was like, look, if we didn't set it in Africa, you'd be pissed that it wasn't there. If we do set it in Africa, you're going to complain because racism. It's like, you can't win with people. Who cares? It's a game.
Yeah.
No one complained when it was Raccoon City getting eviscerated, or even Spain for that matter.
And I can't bring up my... I have to kill these guys for that to pop up, so I'm screwed. I'm gonna have to go and just level up. That's annoying.
I think, to be honest, though, the only misstep 5 made was the tribal, like, level bullshit that they did add. If they would have just been regular enemies the whole time, people would have been fine. But when you have them wearing like ancient masks and war paint, it's like, okay, maybe this is a little too much.
I don't know. I mean, those people do exist in Africa, so I mean, it's like, but yeah, I know what you mean. It's like, yeah, people are kind of. I guess the idea is that it's a Japanese game, so they probably don't know the stupid racial politics of the West.
Exactly. You got to cut them some slack.
Because let's be reasonable. Let's be reasonable. The only people they don't like are China. I mean, never mind. They like everyone, right? They totally don't hate Korea. I mean, we can't say that. We'll get in trouble. We'll get canceled. I'm sure there's people that probably think that the Japanese aren't racism against anybody, but those people would be stupid.
Oh, dude. Dude. Not only are they, but they don't have cancel culture like we do.
Yeah. Let's see. What advice would you have for a guy that goes through a divorce? Ooh, that's not an easy thing to deal with. That was probably the single most traumatic event in my entire life. Not for the reasons you might think. It's just because that person was actually my best friend and closest confidant, who I thought I'd actually spend my entire life with just because of how good we got along together. I guess the thing is, there's no real good advice other than just all the advice that's usually given is like, focus on yourself, you'll get through it. Like, that all sounds great, but I guess the main thing you got to do is you have to recognize that that person might have been special, but they're not special anymore, and you just need to divorce yourself from the past and focus more on the future. The past is completed, the future isn't, but that still doesn't work. Because, like, if you gotta tell somebody, it's one of those things that it's the passage that preys upon the weak. I guess the main thing is, all that difficulty will be over eventually, if that makes any sense. And staying in touch is a terrible idea. That is the worst idea in the long, sad history of bad ideas. Because if you didn't work as a couple, you're not going to work as friends. This isn't Seinfeld. Seinfeld is fictional. It'd be nice if it was real, but it's not. So, you just move on, have a clean break, and just deal with it, You can have the memories of the past be sort of like a treasure that you hold, but that's it. It's just a memory. The present is very different. I wasn't a wrestling guy. Like, can we go from, like, complaining about stupidity to, like, what about Rowdy Roddy Peeper?
Yeah.
Here to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Dude, what's his name just died, like, last month, too, by the way. The wrestler, Diamond Dallas Page.
Let's see, I do not know who that is, but they don't
DDP?
live... Going on?
Well, his nickname was DDP, but his wrestling name was Diamond Dallas Page.
No.
He was in the Hulk era.
I'm surprised they lived as long as they did. I mean, that's just medical technology being what it is. Because a lot of the old wrestlers died in their, like, 50s. Because, you take steroids or just get, punched in the face a lot. That's not good for your health.
Well, like, Ozzy dying makes sense. Look how many drugs that man did his life.
He's more drug than man. Twisted and evil.
But Hulk Hogan had a workout regimen, and yeah, I know steroids were involved, but, like, let's be honest, he was living better than Ozzy was living.
Yeah, that's not hard to do. But
in our current timeline, 72 is not that old anymore.
this is a fact. I mean, my grandfather made it to 83. God damn it. Ugh. Now, dealing with the death of a family member you really like, now that's something that takes a long time to get over.
Yes, it does.
It's just the other day I was like, I need to go tell Gramps about this book. It's like, oh, never mind.
I still attempt to call my aunt.
Oh, that is very sad,
When
too.
I see something I think she likes, I'm like, oh, I gotta show her this. And I'll dial, and I'm like, oh, fuck, that's right.
Yeah. And yeah, making fun of all the sides of the political aisle is good, because the more extreme they are, the crazier they are. I mean, oh yeah, Triple X, are you aware of the South Park episode lampooning our current president?
You know, this is going to sound, and I hope you understand where I'm coming from. I think the episode is extremely distasteful, but at the same time, I don't have a problem with it, because I can't sit there and cheer them on when they make fun of everyone I hate and then boo them when they do someone that I like.
Yeah. I mean, it's South Park doing South Park, you know? It's
Exactly.
one of those... It's one of those things, you know? And they will actually be fair... Hurrah for women? Wow. Looks like somebody's thirsty. No, it's like... And they'll actually be nice when they can be nice. Like, they were making fun of... This is a long ass time ago, but, they were poking fun at, that guy, whose name I can't think of at the moment. You know, the guy from Australia. That guy. Oh, I can't... Mel Gibson, there we go. They were making fun of him. They gave him what I guess we could call today the Trump treatment, you know? With the little, paper cutout face, that kind of thing.
Yes.
And then he was, and then they were like, you know, he's completely crazy, but he can make a really good story. It's like, I like the fact they at least acknowledge that. I don't think that Mel Gibson was crazy, but at the same time, the fact that they even said that like that is pretty good, I'd have to say.
Did you ever listen to the Mel Gibson voicemails he left to his wife?
Yeah, so he was kind of crazy, but you know what I mean.
Something about just smiling and... yeah. Those were great, though. That was one of the most quoted things ever back in the day.
But the thing is, though, like, when they do it, when they make fun of Trump, at least it's coming from a position where they're actually trying to at least be funny and not try to get the clapter.
Yes. South Park does it for the humor. Late night TV does it because Orange Man bad.
Who watches late night TV?
Boomers.
Wow, agnostic. Your father reminds me of Gramps. Because when Gramps was 74, him and I were going to the track, the running park, 3 days a week. A week, and he was running 2 laps each time. So the only reason we stopped is because, one, he got into a big wreck. There was the white Mercedes, the legendary white Mercedes that blew through a red light and smashed into... he was with my grandmother. They were in their big van they had at the time. This white Mercedes blew through the red light and completely demolished the van. And he ended up getting really hurt bad. My grandmother was in the hospital for like 6 months. It was not good. That's the only reason why he stopped running as much as he did.
So, real quick, when you were asking about who watches late night TV.
Yeah.
So, fun fact, by the way. I want you to notice 2 things if you ever watch clips from it. One, they never ever show the studio audience. And that's for a reason.
Damn it.
And 2, when you watch it at home, those sounds of laughter and clapping are all done by the editors. Those are inserted laughs and claps because they can't run the risk of the host telling a joke that just bombs flat at home.
Yeah.
They have to make it sound like it's always funny. So those cheers aren't even authentic when you watch it.
I remember reading, I saw a YouTube video on that where apparently all those laughs and claps and stuff like that come from like the 50s or something. They just keep reusing it. Like,
they're all the same.
And yeah, Cyrus, you can wear a trench coat. If you've got the right build, you can pull it off. You know? I do own a trench coat and have worn it unironically.
I too have a trench coat and wore it unironically, but Columbine ruined it for me.
Well, in the year 2013, I did once wear a Punisher shirt and a, trench coat. That might sound like that might have been cringy, but in reality, it did make a certain individual fairly thirsty, so it had the desired effect. So there's that. But you can't be like 50 pounds overweight, you know, with a bowl haircut, you know, wearing that. You know, you can't do that. You gotta have to actually do some weights.
You talking about a Punisher shirt and a trench coat? If you had body armor on, you'd be making me thirsty.
But that's 6 strength. Wow, my mage is fucking puny. What is this, Raceland Majere? Got suspended for wearing the Punisher skull shirt. Damn, that's not fun. But now I did make said female thirsty, so... how do you avoid a divorce? You can't... Well, I say you can't. Like, there's no, like, magic bullet that allows you to avoid that. It all varies based upon, you know, like, what your circumstances are, who you would get married to in the first place. Now, there are behaviors... Wait a second.
How did you die?
Oh, they booby trap. There we go. The chests.
Oh, boo.
Yeah, that was another thing that pissed people off about this game. But like, basically, I don't know if I'd ever really want to have kids. Not because I have a problem with kids, but that's a lot of work, you know? That's one of those things where I'm glad I didn't, because that would have not ended well. If you're gonna have kids, you gotta be very sure what you're doing, you know? Because back in the day, people just got married and stayed married because they didn't have a choice, you know?
Marriage also meant something different back then, too.
It can mean something, it can mean the same kind of stuff today. It just depends on who you're with.
Sure.
That's the main thing. Like, I was very careful when I got together with said ex. The main thing about, like, in any sort of relationship, try to maintain proper perspective. Don't catastrophize. That was my biggest problem back in the old days, is I kind of catastrophized a bit too much. Had I been able to be more, you know, chill, I think things would have gone better. But it really just depends.
He makes a good point. He makes a good point in today's society, where divorces are like a one-party rule system, where you only need one spouse to say, yep, I want a divorce, and you're screwed.
There's that. But the thing is, you can avoid that if you're careful and search for, like, what I like to call prerequisite behaviors.
Yeah.
Okay, come on, throw the firebomb. Come on, throw it. There you go. Oh, come on, blow up the barrels already. See, what you need to do is... Oh, come on. See, there's a shortcut if they blow up the barrels, and it won't work sometimes. But you just gotta be careful with the prerequisite behaviors, because usually these behaviors will show themselves. So, like, with my ex, the prerequisite behaviors were there, and it wasn't so much that I ignored them, it's just I didn't think they would lead to what they led to. Now, thankfully for me, the whole divorce thing wasn't even that bad. Simply because it was more an emotional thing than it was a financial thing. I didn't have any money to lose anyway, especially at that time. But the thing is, like I say with the prerequisite behaviors, look for somebody who would actually, you know, in bad times, not want to screw you over. So, like, in that bad of a time, I did not get screwed over. I just ended up having to have a divorce and never saw that person again. Which was bad enough. A lot of the stuff you see on the YouTubes and the social medias is basically stupid people doing stupid things. They'll get together with, like, the last drunk chick at a bar and wonder why that person is bad. If you avoid that, you shouldn't have too many difficulties.
Have you seen what our favorite power couple, Anissa and iDubbbz, are up to recently?
Oh, dear. Talking about stupid.
Well, let's just say, and I don't want to get into it because it is a can of worms, but I love that they're getting their comeuppance for fucking with H3.
I'm just so glad I'm not popular on YouTube. I mean, you hear about that, it's like, oh yeah, they were messing with this person, they were doing that to that person. It's like, nobody cares about me. And I'm happy
I care
about that.
about you.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. It's not like I got some crazy person like trying to destroy me. We're going to destroy General Lotz by making him watch The Force Awakens.
How could you?
It's like that's the worst fate known to man.
They play that at Guantanamo Bay and CIA black sites when they want to punish people.
I mean, even Sam Fisher thought that went too far.
Yeah, Seth Fisher's like, oh, for Christ's sake, tone it down, guys.
But what are the reasons? Well, too many arguments, stuff like that, you know? It's a thing that happens, especially if you... See, I like females who are very tough, very independent, very, you know, capable of handling themselves, that sort of thing. That can also lead to very, let's just say, difficult behaviors. And that's ultimately what did that in. But see, if somebody is really independent, they're not going to try to take your money, especially if you don't have any. But they're not going to like file false allegations or anything like that because they wouldn't see a need to do such a thing. Like I said, a lot of the red pill talking points are marginal people dating marginal women. If you are very patient, you know, you can find somebody good. They're there. But you're not going to be able to just pick them up for the sexy times. In fact, I didn't even bring up the topic for over a month. Most people don't do that. Like I said,
Do you remember, and this is going to be a bit of a stretch, but do you remember in the very early 2000s, Yahoo used to run ads for their dating platform on their website? And it would show like it was two extreme people. Like one guy was like a fisherman with like a parrot, and the other woman was like a gypsy with a monkey.
I don't remember that.
They made it work. Yeah, Yahoo used to be a dating site too.
That is so weird. Like, you know, I guess the people who still use Yahoo are the same people who use or still watch Colbert, I guess. Oh crap, I'm screwed. No, I'm not. I can kill him.
For me, it was all about my man Jeeves and whatever you wanted to ask him.
Wow, ask Jeeves. I haven't thought about that in ages. I assume that long since got subsumed by Google.
Everything got consumed by Google.
One of those things, if you go back in time, invest in Google, invest in Amazon, and most assuredly, invest in Bitcoin. I don't trust cryptocurrency, but it is worth money, so...
Oh, I remember when search engines were called web crawlers.
Man, I haven't heard that in a long time. Well, I mean, Yahoo emails are still good. I mean, I probably still have one.
I always just did Hotmail.
I don't think I ever used that. No, I've used it for work. But that was it.
Everyone had that one email. It was like corngod69xd at geocities.com. Or Dark Vampirus 99 at Angel Fire.
Or remember the AOL emails? I remember I tried to get a job at like this local place ages and ages ago as like a computer guy, and the woman working there or running the place still had an AOL thing, and this was like in 2015.
Good
God.
God.
Adult related.
Welcome. You've got mail. You've got pictures.
There's a whole movie based around that. You've got mail with the guy who is now hiding out in Greece, and I forget who the woman was.
Wasn't it Sally Field?
I don't think it was Sally Field. It was that blonde woman who was in everything in the 90s.
You're going to make me do
Major respect
it.
to Finland. Those guys are built tough.
Come on,
Probably, it
IMDb, don't fail me now.
was like the earliest days of the internet. I mean, but the internet's good though. I hate social media to a major extent just because everybody on there seems to be like the dumbest person known to man. But at the same time, I've used it. Although I say I've used social media, I primarily just do this YouTube stuff. That's really it. Because I didn't use MySpace back in the old days. Oh, I'm so screwed.
Meg Ryan.
Yep, that's who I thought it might have been.
Yeah, she was in everything in the 90s and very early 2000s.
I assume she just, like, retired to, like, work on a dairy farm? Speaking of dairy farms, recently rewatched the first episode of Star Trek Enterprise. Haven't seen that in like 10 years. I'm just gonna say, Jolene Blalock, the female who played T'Pol in that show. Oh my god, I forgot how big her dairy farms were. It's like I guess like you don't really pay that close attention, but my god, like those things were massive. Now, would that be considered sexist to say that, though, I wonder? And if so, why do I care?
Did you by any chance see Sharknado?
No, I can't stand those garbage movies. I mean, Jolene Blalock, yeah, I could not sit through Sharknado. I assume it's terrible.
There was a blonde woman that was in the movies, and she was hot back in the day. Like, she was in American Pie, and I can't think of her name. But by the time she hit Sharknado, she was just like, ugh.
No. I need more strength, and I need more attunement. Ugh. So, like, Sharknado is just, they're trying to make it bad on purpose. And so it kind of takes some of the fun out of it, you know? Watching a bad movie that's bad because it was made poorly is one thing, but when they're trying to make it bad, it's like, oh, come on. What do you take me for, a fool? The answer is yes.
A bad movie that tried to be good will always be great.
Exactly.
But when you try to make a bad movie and we know you're trying to make a bad movie, it doesn't work.
And that's but Sharknado made a lot of money, so I guess that's something, but...
Well, it made a ton of money and a shit ton of sequels.
But I couldn't sit through such a thing.
I will admit the one thing I liked was having Dolph Lundgren appear as the one guy's little son from the future. And he's in a Hummer time machine and he's like, roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Oh, God. I mean...
Okay, you got me on that one. That was funny.
See, like, I get why that's funny, but my only... This is actually something I want to put in a podcast at some point. That's funny, but I like it when they actually come up with their own weird lines. You ever watch... I can't think of one off the top of my head, but you ever watch a low-budget movie from the 80s, and they did say something... have, like, a really weird non-sequitur? I prefer something like that to just a reference to something that we already know.
Sure.
That's something I've been thinking about recently. It's like, all the member berries, it's like, let's come up with something new, people! We don't need to member berry everything.
I mean, look at our love for Tremors. I mean, let's be honest, it was a stupid movie, but goddamn if we don't love it.
I don't know if I call the first one stupid. I might need to challenge you to a duel, but I don't have money for a plane ticket, so you're out of luck.
You know what I mean. It's like, they knew that wasn't gonna be an Oscar movie.
Well, yeah, but it's a
but
fun movie.
By so many people.
Oh crap, you bastard! Trying to jump across and I got shot in the chest with an arrow.
Everybody talks shit on Howard the Duck. I loved that movie growing up. No. You died it.
Yep. An anarchist and a communist. An anarchist and a communist and a pizza place. I said, there was something like that from like Robot Chicken. A Kirk and a Kant. There we go. But anyway, pizza places and communists aside, how do you think they do their pricing? But I mean, that might be, if you could actually get a communist and an anarchist to cooperate, that might be an interesting podcast. They'd be showing things from different perspectives. Very strange and very insane perspectives, but it might be entertaining. I'd watch it. The thing about Tremors, though, I think Tremors is one of the few franchises that doesn't deserve to exist, but shows that you can sequelize stuff if you actually get halfway decent writers.
Yes.
Because here's the weird part. Tremors shouldn't be a franchise. It's giant... I will admit, it's kind of a silly premise with giant worms that go under the ground. Okay. But the actors were so good, the story was actually legitimately entertaining, that I can't just call it a stupid movie.
Yeah, it should have been a one-and-done film.
And yet...
But you're right. The characters were so good.
And yet, here's the thing. Here's the thing about that movie. Tremors 2, it's a perfectly good movie. It is... They introduce a new, you know, like, monster, and it works. Tremors 3, they introduce another new... No, God damn it, no! Oh, I hate my life. They introduce another monster. They set Burt Gummer to 0. People hate Tremors 3 a lot because they killed off a fan favorite character, but it's still a pretty good movie.
I didn't see the first one.
It's not bad. It's worth watching at least once. But that's more than you could say for a lot of 3 movies. You know? A lot more.
Spoiler free after the stream, you have to let me know who died.
Alright. But then Tremors 4, they do a prequel, and somehow it works. It's like the Burt Gummer origin story. Once again, somehow it works. Don't ask me how, but it does. Tremors 5, you've got, like, old Burt Gummer going to South Africa, because I guess they got, like, a tax break for that. Tremors 6. It also is a mostly entertaining movie. They're still in South Africa, but they put a blue filter over it because they want to pretend like they're in the Arctic. That looks an awful lot like a desert, somehow.
Like night for day.
It literally is that, yes.
Uh-oh. Bad news.
Oh, dear.
Thunder and lightning outside.
Oh. Hopefully your
I
power
might...
system... Well, let's hope they, your electric company's better than mine.
Well, if I die, I just want you to know that I died doing what I love. Being here with you and the chat.
Well, hopefully, if the power goes out, you just go to data and stay alive.
Well, even if the power goes out, I'll lose your... I'll lose the tubes, but you'll still have me on the phone.
No, that works. You beat it with a club and peasant garb. Yeesh. And got kicked off the podcast before the first episode. That sounds like Bluey's. Yeah, Triple X9 and maybe a couple other people might try to do a podcast later this year. Maybe. But that's the problem with being an adult. Gotta work all the time.
Yes.
Ah, the old college days.
Eager to do one.
I've had some ideas for like talking about like should series just end? You know, like with Tremors, you could have just ended that, and yet somehow it worked. Somehow.
You know, the actor that played Bert loved to reprise his role.
Yeah, you could tell. And he was originally, I think, on the Wonder Years show I never watched because it came out before I was born, but
The Wonder Years was boring.
I can only imagine. I think the Wonder Years, didn't that have like Michael J. Fox pre-fame?
No, it had oh my god, what was his stupid name from that movie where he goes to California with his Fred Savage.
Okay, so that's not... Then what am I thinking of? What's the one with pre-fame Michael J. Fox?
The one where he was on, like, what was Michael J. Fox's show before he was famous?
Like, he used to carry a briefcase, and I only know... Maybe that's what the Burt Gummer actor was from, and not Wonder Years. Maybe I had that wrong. Oh, you bastard! You bastard! You fucking piece of shit! God, I hate this game.
He was also a werewolf in some high school movie.
Michael J. Fox or Michael Gross or Goss?
J. Fox.
Yeah, I think I'm probably thinking of Teen Wolf,
Yes.
where he played literally a teen. That would be a superhero movie today. That is such a stupid movie. I can't help but love it. I watched that as a kid. Teen Wolf is where Michael J. Fox is a werewolf, but he doesn't have a thirst for human flesh, or a hunger for human flesh, rather. Oh, I guess you can put it in a blender. Flesh shake. Good for the skin, right? Instead of having, instead of wanting to eat people, wait, say again.
It was Twilight before Twilight.
Oh no, it wasn't nearly that bad. It was way better than Twilight.
As long as he doesn't sparkle.
No, the moral of the story is he doesn't want to kill people. Instead, he basically gets superpowers. However, what do you think Michael J. Fox uses his superpowers to do?
Play sports.
Oh, so you know the plot then, okay.
I've seen the picture of him wearing his basketball jersey.
Yeah, so he uses his superpowers to play high school basketball. He's gonna get that Letterman jacket this time. Only in the 80s could you do something that silly, and I love it.
Air Bud did it in the 90s, and it was a dog.
I saw that. I think I would watch paint dry before I'd watch Air Bud, but Teen Wolf has a special place in my heart. They even made a TV show out of that, I think. That's one of those inexplicable TV shows, kind of like Ferris Bueller the series.
Do you remember a movie in the 90s? It was about this dopey kid who moves to this town in California, and it's all about rollerblading.
No, but
and like
oh crap! God damn it! I forgot that was there. I'm still alive somehow. I got hit by a rock and survived. Don't go on.
I was just thinking about how like awful those like 90s extreme sports movies tried to be.
That and like a dopey kid moves to a small California town. That could be. Do you have any idea how little that narrows it down?
Yeah.
Yes. Then what?
If you talk
like
to this
whole
guy long enough, he'll give you. There we go.
Incredible. Oh, I would not that I can.
The whole was just rollerblading is epic.
I mean, it is, but I don't know if you need to make a movie about it.
I just remember Jack Black and oh my god, what's the name of the guy that plays Chris on Family Guy? Seth something.
Seth Green, I think his name was.
Yeah, young Seth Green is in it.
It almost sounds halfway watchable, but I bet it's more cringe than it is funny.
It's one of those movies that's so cringe it's worth watching just because of it.
Seth Green and Ferris Bueller and Breakfast Club. You know, I watched Breakfast Club once. I feel like it's a bit preachy for what it is. Ferris Bueller is another good one and done. Can you imagine trying to sequelize Ferris Bueller?
No. How? Why?
They made it a TV show for like 5 seconds, but some things just can't be sequelized. I'll say that Jurassic Park cannot be sequelized. The fact that Lost World is as good as it is a bit of a fluke. But like that's a podcast topic, like when to sequelize and when not to sequelize. Because like there really isn't a way to sequelize a lot of stuff. Like Uncle Buck, they made a TV show out of that. Why? How?
So real quick, just because I don't want to forget this. The rollerblading movie, it ends the way every extreme movie ends, where the hero is challenged by the villain to a downhill skate, and everyone in the town knows the route and tells them it's so dangerous. And of course, it's called the Devil's Backbone.
Oh, they call it Dead Man's Curb.
No, it's the Devil's Backbone, and like the whole town knows the legend of the Devil's Backbone.
Not the devil backbone.
But shifting gears real quick, how about the Geico Cavemen commercial that actually got a TV series?
Yeah, I never saw that. But, like, how? At least there's... You know what? I take that back. There's something there, I guess. You know, like cavemen, you know, somehow in the real world, I guess. Maybe. But yeah, that is...
I thought the commercials were funny where the cavemen were offended that, like, it's so easy, cavemen can do it. Like, that's actually funny.
But 30 minutes of that, I don't know if you'd want to sit through that.
No, it was awful.
Party Monster with Seth Green and Macaulay Culkin. That sounds... Even the name sounds terrible.
Marilyn Manson was in Party Monster as well.
Wow. Could it be more 2000s?
He gets Macaulay Culkin to smoke.
But he did inhale. You know, he inhaled, but he didn't swallow or something like that, right?
Yeah, he didn't inhale.
Kevin from Home Alone became Jigsaw from Saw. Wow.
I heard that theory too. There's a theory that the dad from the show was actually raising his soldiers to be like his children to be soldiers. There's some merit to it.
It's been a long time since I've seen Home Alone, so I don't know how that would work, but, you know, that's not the weirdest fan theory. Come on, blow up those stupid barrels, you asshole. Thank you. I don't mind if I die there. There are a lot of really messed up comedies, like in the early 2010s, like with Seth Rogen and such. Which I like. Hot Tub Time Machine, I think, is one of the ones that became very popular.
Yes.
Like, you could get away with a lot of stuff back then that you could not today. For me, though, I never really got into those kind of things. I was the target audience. I was yet again the target audience of something that everybody liked, but I hated.
I thought Pineapple Express was funny.
I honestly
But
don't
then,
even know.
they had this movie called Food Fight, and it was so fucking stupid.
Is that that weird animated thing all the YouTubers wouldn't shut up about for like 2 years?
Yeah, it's like the food at a grocery store comes alive at night.
Yeah, it was like Charlie Sheen and all the rest. Yeah, I never saw that. I can't imagine why.
No. That was a different movie. That was I know which one you're talking about. No, the one with Seth Rogen was like an R-rated raunchy comedy about food at a grocery store. Same plot, just made worse.
Okay. Yeah, those were the days. Well, I'm just dying. I'm at least gonna kill one boss. So, like, talking about the game for a moment, this game isn't the worst. But the problem with the game is it's a very spotty start because you've got no good stats, you've got no good weapons, and all the enemies are way stronger than you. Thinking about the new Alien series, could we move away from xenomorphs as the aliens? Well, Alien, the xenomorphs are like the whole reason the franchise exists. What you want to do is move away from just xenomorph shows up, everybody dies. And instead focus on like the human characters and like the cyberpunk aspect of the Alien franchise. That's how you can actually expand from that. That new Aliens first-person shooter that has been DVR'd, as in it's no longer something you have to have a stupid thing on your face to play, that doesn't look too bad. It looks like it might be worth playing. I'll definitely stream it.
See, like the thing about like the Alien franchise though is like the alien is the star.
It's kind of like
Like
the dinosaur.
when you watch the original one, it wasn't, you know, it wasn't Ripley, it wasn't any of the other actors. It was the alien. You went there for the alien. So if you take the alien out of Alien, what do you have? I mean, look at what Prometheus tried to do.
Yes. It's one of those things where, like, if you want to make Aliens more than what it is, you've got to just focus on developing better human characters and actually making it. You have to transition, oh dear, to cyberpunk. That's what they did back in the 90s in the books, and it worked really well. Just look to the books, damn it! I actually had somebody comment on one of my gun videos once, saying, like, guns are bad and terrible and such, and people could just, like, make traps in their house like Home Alone. I'm not making this up. This actually did happen. And I kind of had to tell this guy, it's like, you know, that's horribly illegal. For those of y'all who may not know, making traps for people in your house, that's actually illegal. Now, I don't think that, like, Kevin McAllister would go to jail because, like, he was fighting against 2 burglars, but you can't just have, like a tripwire set up to, like, drop a knife on somebody's head, because that would actually be illegal. And it actually has some good standing, too. It's like, what if you're not home, your house catches fire, you know, like, Triple X here, he busts down the door to see if there's somebody in there, and he catches an axe to the head, you know? I don't think you'd want to have that happen.
Are you talking about the guy that set the shotguns in his house?
No, I was actually thinking about a horror movie, but I did not know
There
the
was
shotgun.
a guy that booby trapped his house with a tripwire and a shotgun because people kept breaking in and stealing his shit because he was a older, elderly man. And he lost his ass in court. It's his house, it's his property. He's allowed to defend it, but you are not allowed to booby trap it.
The thing is, I still get why that's the case, because, like, if somebody were to have gotten, like, let's say, you know, a fireman had gotten killed by that, you know, you'd want somebody to go to jail for that. It's one of those things, I get it. I don't think that guy should have really lost all his stuff, but because he didn't actually kill anybody, I guess, right?
No, the burglar ended up losing his legs because the shotgun was aimed for the waist down, so he got maimed really bad.
Yeah.
And his lawyer was able to argue that, like, you know, it was excessive, and like you said, like, they went with a whole, like, what if, you know, something happened and, like, the police had to come in, or firemen, and, like, the guy's 90 years old and he's getting his fortune robbed by these junky assholes, and they were like, yeah, you can't booby trap your house. He would have been better off just shooting the guy with his shotgun.
Yeah, it's still wrong that he would be taken to court, but it's one of those things. If everybody started doing that, it would cause a lot of problems. Because you just know that Bubba Stump would probably set up some tannerite or something and blow somebody up.
Only in America can criminals sue victims and win.
I know, that is wrong. Thankfully, it's only in blue areas.
I swear to God, criminals have more rights than victims.
It certainly seems that way in a lot of different places. Is a tripwire trap with plastic container holding a shotgun shell? Huh. I mean, I personally wouldn't want to have a bunch of booby traps in my house. You know, you're trying to go, like, get a glass of water at 12 midnight, you stumble over that tripwire, you end up putting a hole through your sensitive regions.
You know, if you're going to do the shotgun booby trap thing, load it with rock salt.
No! God damn it.
It's not going to kill them. It's not going to do permanent damage. And by golly, are they going to think twice about coming back in there?
Yeah, and they come back with a lawyer and they're screwed.
Yeah.
Okay, we need to kill a boss. Because I'm, like, just dying every 5 feet. This game is much harder, much more annoying than Dark Souls 1. Okay, let's go ahead and go human. Because what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to bring in a summon. The whole thing about self-defense is one of those things, it's not good. It's like, if you get blasted by a criminal, that person might or might not go to jail. You do it, you get screwed. And I did not know, I never heard that Macaulay Culkin had died. I didn't know that was like a rumor they had. I just thought he got old.
You know, this might sound a little callous, but if you live in a standard ground state like Florida and you have to defend yourself legally, if they survive, they could theoretically sue you. But if they don't survive, it's your word versus theirs, and cops tend to side with the homeowners, just saying.
Yeah, but you gotta be careful with that, though. And also, there's the emotional aspect of it. You know, you end up blowing somebody away.
I know, I know.
But,
Something's on fire over here.
uh-oh.
Smell it.
Macaulay is 44. Oh, he's not that much older than me, so. And there's no summoning sign here. Damn it. Game. Ah, fuck it. We'll die.
We'll do it live.
Yeah. This game isn't bad, but as you can see, it is a classic. But this game isn't bad, but it's just not that fun. This is just so easy to die. I get that's the whole point of the game, but like, I'd like to have a mod where it like has Dark Souls be like, you know, more doable, where you can like quick save. Enemies don't do so much damage and you do more damage.
You know, I just realized something, General. This whole time we're playing, I think you and I have talked more side content than actual game.
Well, there's not much to really say in this game. This is all pretty much just gameplay. You know, there's not really much of a story. I mean, there is a story, but it's all really lore. There's not like there's characters.
You really have to shoot him with magic in his taint.
Yes. He deserves
That's
it.
a low blow.
He deserves it.
But I approve.
He
Tainted
talked bad
love.
about trimmers. You had to pay for that.
How dare you? Next he's going to tell me Conehead sucked.
That's not a bad movie. It got a lot of hate in its day, but it was actually pretty worth watching.
I loved Coneheads. And the daughter was hot
Yes.
with a cone.
Oh yeah, so there's a trailer that
Would
dropped.
you? Would you?
Yes, without a doubt.
Same. I like how I didn't have to say it, but you knew what I meant.
I'll take the
That's
cone.
all right. You know how that movie came into existence?
I think it was a Saturday Night Live sketch, if I'm not mistaken.
Dan Aykroyd was smoking weed with a producer, and they were watching TV. And Dan Aykroyd said, "What if their foreheads were so big that their heads didn't fit on the top of the TV?" And thus, Coneheads was born.
My God.
That's
You know-
hysterical.
That is still a better idea than half the crap we get today. So, no, all the crap we get today.
Infinitely better than what we got today.
Because, you know, it actually kind of... It wasn't something that was focus grouped to death. And it was like, dude, like, what if, like, their heads, like, were totally, like, cone-shaped, man? It's like, you just blew my mind. Instead of like, well, what we could do is we could have a strong, independent woman who went to, like, culinary school and all the chefs didn't like her. And she had to show that she was better than them all.
And, you know, I like that the movie ended without, like, some message saying just because they have cones doesn't mean they're worth any less respect than you with your rounded head.
Yeah, they didn't do that either. And although the movie is kind of like a metaphor for immigration, but if you notice, though, like, oh man, I'm gonna get myself into trouble again. I might have to cut this out.
Immigration did that too.
Yes, because like they actually do assimilate into American culture. It's like, yeah, what's wrong?
But he also gets forged documents.
So, oh, you bastard!
Oh my god, I love that movie.
Heal, heal, heal. Fucking halberd. Halberdier. What if there was a Doom mode that played like Dark Souls? There is, but I can't remember what it's called. Yeah, Wayne's World did pave the way. And Agnostic, the podcast idea is basically just to debate a bunch of different topics. Yeah, your typical podcast, you know, except we're actually smart and we don't talk about like DMT and stuff like that.
Yes.
We're not gonna be dropping ayahuasca and talking about like, dude, what if their cones are like even bigger than the TV? What if they can't even fit through doors, man? Okay, so let's go ahead and finally level up here. Give me all the attunement. No. We don't, actually, let's go to 2. Give me a couple more strength, and give me some intelligence. We're gonna now. Okay, good. We still got some points. There we go. We got 3 attunement slots. I'd like to see an FPS that's set in the Dark Souls Elden Ring universe. Yeah, we'll see who's going to be on the podcast, but it's still in the planning stages. Okay, let's use that nice big leather shield. You still there, Triple X?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I didn't know if you dropped.
You still have to come up with a name for it, but I think you did tell me you had one.
Yeah, I actually have a title art for that. OpenGL. I actually did an episode with that a long time ago. Way back in the ye olde days. Before I even met you, actually. With an original group of people. Who, there's a falling out, so... But I can still use the title art, now can I?
Ah.
Nobody copyrighted it, so why can't I use it? But, you know, it's OpenGL, you know, like Open General Lots. You know, and also the API, the graphical API. I had one from the old group Photoshop this thing into existence, and so like, well, that idiot may dislike me now, but guess what? He didn't copyright it, so why can't I use it? It's literally
And
just... Wait a second.
I said, and we shall.
It's literally
and
just...
we will make it successful.
Exactly.
And he will just have to cope and see it.
That's one of those things where, like, I always kind of feel bad for those people on social media that are all, like, you know, weirdo shut-ins. It's like they have bad experiences with people or women. I'm like, I ain't giving up. Just because there's 1 or 2 assholes out there does not mean, or a lot more than 1 or 2, but some assholes out there doesn't mean I'm just gonna cut myself off from everybody. People have falling outs. It's like, you just get over it and get on with your life. And well,
you work in a kidney punch when you can.
Wait a second.
You work in a kidney punch when you can.
You can do that too. Yeah, I still have the book review series, the Fahrenheit 452. I thought I was pretty clever with that name. It's like Fahrenheit 451, but it's like, it's where we don't burn the books. Three chairs, that's not bad. About to see, just because there's so... I'm like branching out myself with that, with other people as well, so... Like human contact, who wants that?
Amazing in this day and age that, like, with so many ways to be in contact, people still choose isolation.
Yeah. Although I actually did try to do stuff like local once. I went to like a local game store and they were just assholes. It's like, well, never coming back here again. I was like, hey, what's like when did your local D&D group meet? And they're like, we're not accepting new people. It's like, oh, thanks. Never mind.
There's a game store by me called like Wizards of the Coast, and they have like open game nights where like you can play D&D and such.
Yeah.
And it's all the same people always there, and they treat new people like shit.
No.
And I'm like, wow, way to keep that stereotype alive, guys. they got a sign that says "No girls allowed," and like the R is like backwards.
Yep. See, they couldn't do that today because I'm sure your typical D&D nerds are going to be blue-haired and male feminist. No girls would want to show up, especially if they wouldn't want to fall asleep in there too either.
Did you ever see those videos on like the Smash Brothers tournaments where they complain that they all stink?
Yeah, I've seen that.
I'm not surprised.
That is a... You know, there's fandoms out there that I have no interest in, and it's always strange to me that these fandoms exist. I mean, I guess there's fandoms I'm into that people aren't into, but like Super Smash Brothers, that is a game that I have not played since 1990, whatever the fuck, when the first game came out. And the fact that it's this giant, like, tournament circuit, it's just such a weird thing to me.
Yeah, it's huge. Like, it's got sponsors now and everything.
And people base their entire personalities on, you know, Pikachu and Star Fox.
Yep.
Well, we can safely say they do not have to worry about reproducing.
Yeah, they removed themselves from the gene pool.
And it's not so much that it's not like they removed themselves from the gene pool. They weren't in it in the first place. Okay, we almost got this bastard. We almost got him. Gonna shoot him. Oh, it's gonna talk
Could
about,
you imagine like a girl at a bar and like she's like, "Oh wow, so you're a police officer on the SWAT team?" And this like guy shows up. He's like, "I'm level 82 in Smash, and I play as Kirby." Wow, hard choice.
You're gonna be gone for 15 days in the Upper Peninsula. Sheesh. Well,
Oh no!
be careful
Not
out
the
there.
UP.
Be careful out there, agnostic. You know, you say that though. I get the feeling that like the cop might also be into Kirby. You never know, because nerds are everywhere these days. So it could happen. Here's the thing, like, it depends on like how nerdy you are. Like, you could have a guy who's like level 18 in Kirby, or playing Kirby. If he wasn't like an annoying dick about it, he could actually be kind of cool. You know? But you probably don't want to lead with level 18 Kirby, though. Just saying. Probably don't want to lead with that.
My Pikachu's a level 23.
Here's my advice for like talking to females. Don't try too hard. For the love of God, just talk like a human being. I see this shit on the social medias all the time, or hear it in videos. It's like, women want you to do this. No. You don't approach the females like they're this, you know, political action group. You know, it's like, when you talk to, you know, the League of Women Voters, you need to say this. No, you find a person who looks vaguely interesting, and you speak to them like human being. You go, hello, my name is... No, you don't really say, my name is bloody blah. I saw that you liked video game. You probably don't want to lead like that either, but you get the idea.
Everyone knows when you meet a woman for the first time, you grab them by the vagina.
Exact. Wait, no. Yeah, I thought it was like the grab ass, but whatever. I guess they changed it. These kids and their rules. But seriously, though, for the love of God, just actually have a conversation. It's like, how am I the social one?
Say that I'm just kidding.
I know.
I got this bad feeling that like when I make a joke and people are like, "Well, medic said you grab them." Like, no, you don't.
I think those people might be into Sonic a bit too much.
Sonic shoe, ew.
But no, it's like, to talk to a female, you don't. You talk to a person. Because I'm going to be doing that myself before too long. And you know what I'm going to do? I'll be like, oh yeah, you know, it's somebody at the local gun range. I'm basically just going to talk about, you know, the firearms. And that's about it. I'm not going to be like, would you like to go on a date? You don't do that until like the third or fourth meeting, maybe. And if it leads to that, you know. And you certainly don't get down on one knee and try to get her to help you level up. You don't do that. At least not until the third date.
And if you're going to cheat on your girlfriend, don't go to a Coldplay concert.
Yes. If you do, at least wear a beanie.
Right? Dude, how embarrassing.
I mean, being in a cult... I don't know. Cheating is one of those things I never really understood why anybody do that. I mean, but they do it for whatever reason. No one ever did it to me, thankfully. But then again, I'm one of those personalities that people generally don't want to cheat on. They're either going to like you or they're going to hate you. What ability to play Dark Soul or Dark Forces 2 or Shadows of the Empire? Ooh, Dark Forces 2 is much better to play first person just because it was designed around that, whereas Shadows of the Empire, not good first person. The thing is though, like, you can't really plan on what kind of dates you would take somebody out on because you need to know their personality first. You don't want to just do something generic. That's why for me, I prefer the whole online thing. It's where you can be more normal. You're not trying to like do the voodoo dance, the mating dance. I'm gonna get hit by that big sword, and that's not gonna be fun.
General, I have some bad news for you.
You grabbed somebody by the vagina and they didn't like it, and now you're gonna go to jail?
Worse.
Uh-oh.
I have to go.
No. You have to go grab someone by the vagina. Maybe you shouldn't do that. That might be a bad idea. Unless it's your wife. And then she'll probably prefer that.
She's Filipino. She's not into that whole grab 'em thing.
Oh, okay, well. Then whatever the Filipino equivalent would be then, I guess. I'm sure there has to be one of them.
I'm sure there is. I just don't know what it is yet.
No.
But when
Oops.
I find out, I'll let you know.
Okay.
But I do appreciate the stream tonight. And it was always great to see everyone in the chat. And always remember, I love you all.
And don't grab random women by the vagina, because if you do, you're going to go to jail.
Please don't grab random women by the vagina.
Just because Trump says it doesn't mean it doesn't make it right.
Right. Well, General, till next week.
All right. I'll see ya.
Have a good stream. Take care, everybody. Bye.
All right. So now we're back talking into the ether. But yeah, where was I? Oh yeah, talking about like when talking to females, just talk like a regular human being. Both red and blue pills are so silly when it comes to that. They act like it's some kind of a role-playing game. Trying to explain what a role-playing game is to somebody is such a hard thing to do. It's like if I couldn't understand it myself when I first heard about it. It's like D&D used to be very popular, and it still is kind of popular today, but like if someone tells you like, oh yeah, it's a pen and paper RPG, it's like, that doesn't really explain anything. Trying to explain that it's kind of like a manual video game where like you are in charge of like all the math. Evidently there's like a satanic panic back in the 80s where it's like, oh, it's the devil worship. It's like, clearly no one ever cracked open a D&D rule book to find out that there's not really any demon worshipping. The only reason people hated it because it was like the demon on the cover. But if I'm not mistaken, that was like one of the devils in the game. It was like an enemy in the monster manual. I've tried to play D&D on a few occasions, but every time was really, really boring. I'm gonna make the joke in the upcoming fantasy reader's guide video about how like I never played Dungeons and Dragons because I've actually gotten laid. I've tried to play D&D, but man, it's so boring. I've had people tell me like, oh yeah, all their campaigns are really fun, but I'm like, the most I ever did in a campaign was cut up some cows for like money. Because when I think D&D, I think about, you know, slaughtering livestock. Yeah, I've been getting some books read for the fantasy reader's guide. Elric of Melon Bonnet, which is a precursor book for like a lot of fantasy ideas. Like, I mean, a lot of fantasy ideas. Elric is basically like the Primarch progenitor of like the dark elf as a concept, you know, like the evil elves and such. Yeah, I'm gonna do a review of the Dawn of War 1. I never played Dawn of War 2 because it wasn't... Oh, I did play Dawn of War 2, but I hated it. And I never played Dawn of War 3. But Dawn of War 1, that is like my champion. See, like, tabletop RPGs, they sound cool. It's like you can come up with your own stories, you can do all kinds of cool stuff. But man, it's just... It's so boring. That's the main thing. So Mariah of Lucatel is like the only character here that's actually cool. But once again, you have to just talk to her and, you know... You just talk to her, she has her canned dialogue, and that's it. It's kind of neat, but once again, nothing too special. Fortress of the Black Pearl, I'll have to look that up. I also read the entirety of the Dragonlance Chronicles. That is a D&D thing. It wouldn't be the first time that I really enjoyed a book more than I did the actual game. It's kind of like Resident Evil. I didn't actually enjoy Resident Evil until very recently. But I'd loved the books for years. But yeah, Dragonlance Chronicles. Very good stuff. It's just a nice, very imaginative 80s. Oh, Fortress of the Black Pearl is an Elric story? Huh. I don't know all the Elric lore. I've only really read the first book, which is a collected bunch of short stories. I've got them all, but I just haven't read them all. It's amazing how fantasy stuff just goes on for hundreds and hundreds of books, though. Like, Magician. That's going to be, like, the main fantasy book I recommend. Like, if you've never read fantasy before, read Magician by Raymond E. Feist. It's basically a whole fantasy series in one book, essentially. It's set over, like, a 10-year time period. It features two characters, like, coming of age, and one becoming a magician, and another becoming, like, a major leadership character. The first 3 Elric books are prequels. Huh. Literally, the one I'm reading right now is just called Elric of Melon Bonnet. That's it. That's all it says. So, I know that has a weird, like, publication order. And, like, the first one isn't, like, really the first one. It's weird. Fantasy is annoying at times. I'm gonna stab Mr. Viking Man in the chest. This is why I like being the mage. Being the mage is the best. Because, like, you are more powerful than literally everything, but you really can't take a hit. But Elric as a character would go on to inspire a bunch of Warhammer Fantasy, because, like, there's a Warhammer Fantasy character that is only alive because of, like, alchemy and shit. And Elric is only really alive because of alchemy and, like, sorcery and shit. It's really a one-to-one kind of copy. Fortress of the Black Pearl and Sailor on the Seas of Fate are prequels with Weird of the White Wolf. You know, maybe I did read Black Pearl, because Sailor on the Seas of Fate sounds familiar. I think there is a game where you had cardboard standees in a tabletop board game setting. I think Battletech did that and still does that. I actually have a Battletech beginner's box, but never got around to playing it. I have to look at, like, what that Elric book I have, like, what short stories are in it, because it's all novellas. I think there's only, like, 1 or 2 actual novels. It's kind of like Conan, where mainly, like, short stories and novellas. There's only one Conan novel called Red Nails, which I've not read, but my grandfather was a big fan of. So these are clearly monsters inspired by Cloverfield. Now that's a franchise that never went anywhere. I remember Cloverfield 1 was very popular in its day, and there's nothing ever really happened to it afterwards. I think we're just gonna go to the pirate ship. We're gonna, well, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get down there and we're gonna talk to. Now we don't need to talk to the sorcery trainer just because we don't really need him. Because, like, I'm gonna kill this one boss. wait a minute. Let's see what time it is. It's not, we got time. We'll talk to that sorcery trainer. The Witcher books are okay, but I wouldn't recommend getting started with those, just because they're a little dark, a little too dark to a certain extent, and the franchise, as far as I know, ends on like a sad note. I generally prefer books that are kind of like begin and end, and usually end on some sort of triumphant note, which is Dragonlance. All the books I'm going to recommend do that. I'm going to really recommend books that actually have a concrete ending. One series I'm also going to recommend is called Hawk and Fisher by Simon R. Green. I just read the first one yesterday. I'd read a few like 10 years ago, but never actually got back to the franchise. It's basically a bunch of detective stories. And so like the first one, they're all stuck in a house. Hawk and Fisher are like city guards. They're a husband and wife couple. And it's kind of cool that they actually have such a thing. They're trying to solve a murder mystery. And it's not as predictable as I thought it would be. Because I thought I figured it out in like the first 5 minutes. But come to find out, it was a pretty good twist. What a twist! I'm not a big fan of Game of Thrones just because Game of Thrones to me just feels very generic. Like, it just doesn't feel like it does anything particularly special. I think it mainly just got popular because of the TV show. And I only really watched it. I'm also not a big fan of Lord of the Rings either. Like, I know that's heretical, but like, Lord of the Rings to me was just kind of boring. I saw the first 2 movies in theaters, and I thought they were okay. Oh yeah, Warhammer Fantasy is a good starting place for fantasy books. That's how I started. A fan commented on one of my videos back around 2010, a very long time ago, and suggested that I go ahead and read it, and I gave it a shot, and it was, I never looked back. Okay, since I might die, I'm gonna go ahead and buy that.
Young pupil, do not take my teachings lightly.
Yes, yes, yes. He'll show up at Majula. Warhammer Fantasy is my favorite fantasy series of all time. My fantasy reader's guide is about everything that's not Warhammer Fantasy, because I have a Warhammer Fantasy video up already talking about all the great books in that. There's a lot of D&D books out there, and most of which I don't find to be that good, but the very first Drizzt Do'Urden book I think is the best. I don't really think Drizzt is that great of a character. I know people love him, but he's just not that entertaining. Now, Tanis Half-Elven, not only does he sound nerdier, but also he's a better character because he's much more conflicted about everything. He actually has legitimate flaws. But there's one thing you'll notice about a lot of older fantasy, and that is a lot of older fantasy does not really have like epic battles in it. They don't really do that. Like Tanis Half-Elven, he doesn't actually do that much fighting. Most of the time, what ends up happening is like fate will kind of intervene, and like that's how he'll kind of win the battle, but he won't actually just like straight up sword fight anybody. Dragonlance Chronicles also has a like 20th anniversary edition called the Annotated Dragonlance, where the writers talk about it. Writers talk about like what they were thinking at the time. It's pretty good. I've been reading through that recently just to see like what were they thinking. What were they thinking? Now, I'm not going to recommend any Conan stories in the fantasy video just because I don't consider Conan fantasy. That's a video in and of itself. Like, what is fantasy? Like, Dark Souls here is fantasy. But to me, Conan is more sword and sandal, which is similar to, but legally distinct from, what I consider, like, fantasy. It's one of those things. For, like, what is and what isn't fantasy is... Whoa! That hurt. Wizardry. I never actually got into wizardry. Either the book or the game. Yeah, I can see that Conan could be kind of proto-fantasy. I could never get into the Lord of the Rings, though. Ugh, the pipeweed. The pipeweed, people. That or Wheel of Time. People would go nuts about Wheel of Time. Also, Harry Potter isn't fantasy. It's urban fantasy. It's set in modern Earth in, like, the wizarding world, but it's still modern Earth, regardless. So it doesn't count. Like, it has to be either in, like the deep past, kind of like Lord of the Rings or Elric, or it needs to be on a different Earth, a different world entirely. I've not played the Riddick games. That's still on the list. I may stream them one day. We're just gonna skip past the cutscene. Man, that's another thing that Riddick you'd think would actually be a particularly interesting franchise because you could build a lot on that, but after just Riddick, we never really saw anything from that again. It is kind of weird that they kind of stapled this entire like science fantasy universe onto the Riddick franchise, though. It went from just like a criminal crash lands on a planet with a bunch of regular people to like he's the chosen one and he has to fight this undead group of like necromongers. It was a weird ass movie, but it worked. Hawk the Slayer, yeah. I remember that. And then Deathstalker. And Deathstalker 2. That was the 80s for you, though. It's where their imaginations ran wild. I think we're just too used to rules these days to really have the kind of fun that they used to be able to have. Because something like Dragonlance gets weird. I'm not sure I want to sit through Happy Gilmore. Now, if someone was going to pay me to watch it, maybe. But I don't really think I want to sit... I didn't like Happy Gilmore 1, much less a second one. Okay, we're going to pop every last one of these souls and, like, fully level up here. Just give me all the souls. Because I'm not going to turn these into weapons, because I'm just a mage. I would like to see a Dragonlance movie. Because it'd be a lot less boring than Lord of the Rings. Now with Dragonlance, the weird part is, like, who's the main character in that? And not to spoil anything, but, like, it's hard to figure out, like, who exactly the main character is. Okay, it takes a lot of souls to get to that, but I want 4 anyway. Okay, let's go buy us some sorceries here. Actually, wait, hold on. Can I equip that great heavy soul arrow? And the answer is yes. Give me all that sweet, sweet magic. I never used to play as a mage. I used to like mage characters, but I always liked to try to do the hacky slashy thing. But once I realized it was so much easier just to shoot sorceries, it's like, why would I ever not want to do that? Magic defense, or casting time. We don't want that. What we do want is, let's see, we want great soul arrow. Yeah, let's get that. We don't have 4, so what we're gonna do... Oh, I'm an idiot. We wanted this one. We wanted heavy soul arrow. And we don't... Yeah, give me the Twilight Herb. Buy one of those.
Young pupil, do not take my teachings.
Okay, we get a lot of intelligence. Fantasy is easier to write than sci-fi because you can make up everything when I haven't explained it too much. You can technically do that with sci-fi, though. But I think it might be easier to do fantasy because there's so much fantasy slop out there. For me, like, the 1980s is, like, the peak era for fantasy. Not necessarily for sci-fi. I think sci-fi really gets peak in the 90s and early 2000s, but, like, fantasy in the 80s, it's got enough of the whimsy of, like, older fantasy, but it's got a lot more seriousness, and it's just a lot less dull. Although Elric is an interesting exception. Elric's from, like, the 1960s, and it reads quick, it reads fast, the characters are entertaining, so it's I guess not everything's kind of like tied to its era. But there are a few things that are a little bit weird about Elric. Some of the language is a little strange. Like in Dragonlance, there was an interesting part where like the adventuring party all has to ride on like unicorns, which, you know, I mean, you wouldn't see that in a modern fantasy. That's why I don't really like modern fantasy that much, because it's all too serious. There needs to be just a degree of stylization. One of the things I would bring up in a podcast that I'll bring up here is just something I kind of noticed. You know, a lot of modern stuff just comes off as fake. So like Strange New World, not Strange New Worlds, Starfleet Academy, that's going to be the next Star Trek show. It comes off very fake and disingenuous. Whereas something like Star Trek Enterprise comes off as very real. The characters have a lot of flaws. They can be really stupid on occasion or really stubborn. It's just, I've noticed that like character is something that is kind of lacking in modern day stuff. Not just like TV, but even in novels where like the characters really are just planks of wood. Whereas with Dragonlance, every character in that novel was something special, something different. And say what you will about this game, and there's a lot I could say. Okay, please hit the wall. Damn it! But one of the podcast topics I have, though, is like world building versus character. Do you really need to spend a lot of time on world building, or do you need to spend more time on character? And the answer is character, please. Because world building sounds great in theory, but like if all you do is tell me about the world, but the character is a plank of wood, is that really the purpose of the book? Because like if you want to make like an RPG supplement, that's one thing, but in a novel you need characters and you need to see the world through their eyes. And so Dragonlance, Dragonlance and Elric both, like they reveal the world to you. Exactly, character is why the world is being fleshed out. They reveal the world to you through their eyes, and they'll like throw in a little bit of lore here and there, but not so much that it's overwhelming. I mean, I kind of like go on about Larry Correa, but he did a dark fantasy series set in fantasy India, which he had a lot of world building, but really boring and plank of wood characters. But, you know, evidently people bought it because he made a lot of money off of that. He got to put a new story on his house. Gothic, yeah, the story seemed interesting, but the gameplay did not. Like, old CRPGs were not my thing. Like, I never played, what's that stupid game? Baldur's Gate. Yeah, Baldur's Gate was something I never got into. Because it was overly difficult. And I say that in being a fan of this game, or at least I was. I think I might have to stream Elden Ring just to explain why I stopped liking it. Okay, yeah, but we're stuck on this side. The Flexile Sentry. Do we want to try to get to the Flexile Sentry now? No. I think there's a bonfire in here, if I'm not mistaken. And I could be. And I could be. Okay, there's about 1 million Royal Guardsmen in here. Like, there's a ridiculous number. This game really liked to give you endless waves of enemies, and it's not really set up for that. Oh, you bastards. You bastards. I hate you all. And if you're not a mage, this would be, like, impossible. Yep, I'm gonna die. Fuck off, game. God, I hate this game. No, I love it. I love it. I love it. That's totally why I'm gonna... That's totally why I put almost 200 hours into it. You just do it. It makes sense in context. Okay, what boss could we try to defeat? I could try to just run to the Flexile Sentry. Because for whatever reason, I can't seem to be able to summon anything except for that one guy. The summoning seems a little spotty, but I think that's always kind of the case with De Souls. The boss run. Not gonna miss that. It's where you just don't fight anything. Hey dude, what's going on? I really enjoyed Dragon Warrior. No, you fuck! We're gonna try to kill the Flexile Sentry before the day is out. Yeah, Dragon Warrior is pretty fun. I even made my own little Dragon Warrior inspired JRPG back in like 2013. It's not terrible, but it's not great either. I can at least say it's better than Dustborn. Not that that's a high bar, but at least it's a bar. It's a bar. I never was a JRPG guy, so I don't really have any interest in something like, say, like Expedition 31 or whatever. I'm just not a turn-based kind of guy. I liked KOTOR, but that's mainly for the story. I'm gonna fall off the cliff a lot. Fall off and die. Okay, he's gonna go, 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 go. Go, 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 go. We might be able to make it to the Flexile Sentry. Might. Shepard, it's a tower. You don't go down to go up a tower. Tell us what's here now, Rex. You could technically go through a door to get up here, but there's about 1 million, you know, knights in there, and they're all going to try to kill you. Alright. Let's see if we can do it. Most of those 100 hours were, where I would die all the time, because I tried to do melee, and I'm not good at melee. I don't have the reflexes for that. But as the mage... Alright. I think I've had about enough of Souls 2 for one day. So, next week, I do not know what we're going to be streaming. I gotta pick a game. Pick a game, any game. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I'm General Lotz, wishing you good, The Magician, and good Dragonlance Chronicles. Whatever makes you happy. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, and please consider leaving a like or a comment, as the algorithm desires your soul. And I want to thank all those fans who have supported this channel, both past and present.